Getting an offer of representation from a literary agent can make you feel on top of the world, because after all, signing with a literary agent is your first step to getting your book traditionally published. But before signing any paperwork or agreeing to work with someone, you want to ensure that they are legitimate and that they do have your best interests at heart. Because unfortunately, we've been seeing more and more literary agent horror stories being talked about online, and I want to make you aware of these red flags. So today I'm going to talk about some experiences that querying authors and authors who have signed with literary agents have been discussing in online writing communities, so that you know what to watch out for in your interactions with literary agents and you can avoid these pitfalls and these sketchy situations altogether. If any literary agent is giving you shady vibes, you ultimately want to just walk away, so I'm going to let you know what you need to be on the lookout for. The scenarios I'm going to talk through today are different than some of the publishing scams I've talked about in prior videos. In these cases, they're not even taking money from you at all. Rather, these are just shady and bad business practices that do not benefit you as an author. Remember that your literary agent is someone you need to be able to fully trust professionally and with your creative work. Now, I also want to say that my intention in sharing these horror stories is not at all to dissuade you from traditional publishing, because I still very much believe that it is a viable and successful path for many authors. Rather, on my channel, I'm simply trying to provide you the honest and transparent information that is so often lacking when we talk about the industry. So I want to empower you to navigate the tricky publishing process. If any of that interests you, if you are trying to publish your book and especially interested in traditional publishing, I recommend subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. Every week, I either post videos with publishing advice like this one, or I give tactical tips for how to strengthen your book, especially if you're working on a novel. So I'd love to have you around to join this amazing community. I also have a free resource in the description below that I'd love for you to check out. It's called my free story self-assessment. If you have a current work in progress, it is going to help you identify the strengths and weaknesses in that story and take it to the next level. So if you're querying, that could be a really great resource for you to identify some ways you might polish the manuscript before sending it out to literary agents. It's also going to sign you up for my newsletter, where I provide exclusive tips and insights not available anywhere on my channel, so don't miss out on that. So now let's talk through the first literary agent horror story that I've heard, which is when an agent is avoiding questions from potential clients. There was a huge Twitter thread that made the rounds a few weeks ago regarding an alleged literary agency that posted prominently on their submissions information page that they do not accept interviews from potential authors that they want to work with. Basically, they were implying that they do not want to answer any questions from querying authors before signing a representation contract with them. This is a huge red flag, because it is the industry standard to have conversations with any agents who are interested in representing you. And they should be fully open to any and all questions that you have. Any reputable agent understands the importance of having that trust and having that back and forth. And they will gladly answer any and all questions that you have about what working with them will be like. So if an agent who says they want to work with you refuses to answer any of your questions, that is likely a sign that they are hiding something. And this overall closed-off attitude just exhibits someone who's not really willing to be your advocate, or who is going to create a productive and safe collaborative environment for you, which is what you need in an agent. So anytime a literary agent extends an offer of representation to you, make sure you have a thorough conversation with them and ask them some questions. That is absolutely well within your rights and well within the arrangement of an author and agent relationship. The next literary agent red flag is not signing a physical contract. There have been reports of authors being offered what we call a handshake agreement, where an agent either says verbally on the phone or maybe casually in an email that they are willing to send out the author's manuscripts to editors at publishing houses. The key here is that the agent has not provided a formal contract and there has been no representation agreement signed and co-signed between the author and the agent. No binding paperwork has been executed in these cases. It is industry standard to execute this binding paperwork, so if an agent is not giving you a contract, that is a big red flag. The thought process behind why an agent might be trying to work with these handshake agreements is if they want to maybe casually send out your manuscript to some editors and then see the upside if an editor does express interest, but they don't want to commit to working with you long term if that submission does not pan out and you don't get a book deal out of it. Basically, they might be just trying to test the waters casually without actually committing themselves to a real long-term partnership, which is what an author-agent relationship should be. Essentially, it seems like they're just looking for an easy deal, and if the deal doesn't come easy, they just want to cast you aside. Now, you as the author should not want to work with someone who is not 100% committed to you, your book, and your writing. So any agent who is not willing to give you a contract and paperwork is not someone that you should work with. Remember too that the contract is going to protect you and it's going to confirm the terms of your working arrangement so you are all on the same page. This is at the end of the day a professional partnership and it should be treated as such. So anyone who is being unprofessional or trying to skirt around a contract is not someone who you should spend your time speaking with. The next literary agent horror story is surrounding agents who lack both personal experience and reputability of their agency. So let me talk through what I mean by this. There is no specific qualification a literary agent must go through in order to start representing authors. Therefore, it falls on to the author to make sure they thoroughly research and vet any literary agents they are reaching out to ensure they are reputable and have industry experience. This is made even more confusing because new literary agencies pop up quite frequently, either from people starting entirely new agencies or people leaving from established agencies to start their own agency. So this can be quite confusing for an author who doesn't know the names of the agents or doesn't know the names of the agencies to sort out. I have a whole other video that goes into different types of literary agencies and the different sizes of them, all the way from a single agent agency to a big talent agency. So check out that video if you want some more insights as to how different types of literary agencies are structured. So when you are looking for agents to query, you should always default to the specific agent's profile, which includes their professional background, as well as prior book deals and their list of clients. This is what is going to determine their individual reputability. It is also beneficial to check the reputability of the overarching agency. And how you do that is you look at the agency website. What book deals has the whole agency done? What authors do other agents work with at that same agency? Are they successful? Now I want to talk through a framework that can help you determine the reputability of an agent and or an agency. If it's the case of a very established agent who has created or joined a new agency, perhaps they're forming their own company, for instance, perhaps they're a veteran in the industry, but now they're branching off to form their own company, for instance, you can trust that they know what they're doing, and that is a solid person to query. If it is the case of a newer agent who maybe doesn't have any book deals under their own name yet, but they are at a very established agency with other highly reputable agents and highly reputable authors, you can also be confident that that is a good person to query because they have the support network that they need to get you a book deal. They are just newer in their career and likely signing on more clients at this point because they are trying to build up their reputation. However, if they are a brand new agent with no real industry experience or track record, and they're at a new agency that also has no experience or track record, that is a big red flag, and I would not reach out to that agent because there's no proven evidence that they actually are able to support you and get you a book deal. The next literary agent horror story I want to talk about is literary agents ghosting their clients. There was a situation a few months ago where a group of authors who had signed with a specific agent basically got a really abrupt email from this agent saying that they were leaving the agency and basically leaving all of their authors high and dry. These authors were left scrambling to find a new agent because they thought they had this agent, and then all of a sudden the agent left and really gave them no notice or resources. Understandably, the authors were incredibly upset, and it is clear that the communication of this situation was handled very poorly. So while it is possible that you will eventually break up with your literary agent for one reason or another, and it is possible for your agent to eventually leave the industry or potentially go to the other side of the industry by working at a publishing house, this should be handled by your agent very sensitively, and they should be very open and transparent with you, ideally giving you lead time, unlike this specific agent did. You should never feel ghosted or abandoned by your agent, so if that's the vibe you're getting, that is ultimately not going to be a good partner for you. To get ahead of this potential situation, in those conversations that I recommend having with an agent before signing an offer of representation, I recommend asking them point blank, what will happen to your project if they leave the agency or they leave agenting altogether? What options will you have at that point? For instance, is there a waiting period before you can query more agents and get a new literary agent? Or is it possible that another agent at their agency who is left would potentially take you on? This information should also ideally be included in your contract. You have a right to know what your contingency plan is going to be in case your agent is no longer able to represent you. So again, any reputable agent is going to be totally open to having these conversations with you up front. And if they are not willing to have these conversations, that is not a good sign. The final literary agent red flag I want you to watch out for is if they are signing a ton of new clients all at once. Agents, by and large, are highly selective with the authors they choose to work with. They really have to feel passionate about the story and confident that they can sell it to an editor at a publishing house. So if you get word that a specific agent that you are interested in is signing on a bunch of authors within a very short time frame, that might raise some eyebrows. And you should potentially ask them about it if they add you to the list and want to work with you as well. It could just be the case that this is a newer agent and they are looking to build up their list and they do have the time to support all of those new authors. However, it could also be the case that they're essentially just trying to cast out as many fishing lines as possible and submit a bunch of projects to editors all at once just to see which one bites, which really isn't the approach you want your agent to take, because that likely indicates they're not really that invested in all of those individual clients' projects. Instead, they're trying to make a quick book deal as fast as possible and as easily as possible without a lot of effort on their end. And it's also possible that they don't plan to work with the authors long term whose books they do not end up signing. And that is not a position that you want to put yourself in. To get ahead of this situation, I recommend reaching out to authors that are on an agent's client list and just asking them how their experience has been with working with that agent. They should be willing to talk about it, and if they've had a great experience with that agent, there's no reason why they wouldn't tell you that. I hope this video helped you understand some of the chatter online about these literary agent horror stories and ultimately helped you see some red flags as you are querying so you can avoid falling into any of these situations. Remember that your agent is serving as your publishing partner, so it is very important for you to find someone who is professional, reputable, and trustworthy. Let me know in the comments if you've come across any of these sketchy literary agent situations or if you've heard of any additional situations. I'm constantly trying to stay on top of all the information in the industry so I can bring it to you and empower you to navigate this. If you want my tactical tips on how to vet literary agents before querying, check out my other video where I go through all the elements you need to look for. And as always, if you found this video helpful, please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget that free story self-assessment waiting for you in the description below. Thanks so much for watching and happy querying.